It's got a countdown and everything.
It does. Very, very sophisticated.
Welcome to the Public Speaking Experts Podcast with Elliot K. and Jose Ucar. Every week we bring the tips, tools, and strategies for you to become a world-class public speaker. We bring you guests, experts, and authorities in the field of public speaking to enrich you and enhance your public speaking journey. Remember to subscribe, rate, and comment. And now, please welcome your hosts, Elliot and Jose.
What?
Oh yeah, we are back. We are back. And I'm not gonna go back, streets back. All right.
Honey, honey. Na, 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 na.
Oh, I like that one.
You like that? It's ABBA.
Oh, there is actually like a reggae version, but there we go. It's in Spanish, like I love you, honey, honey, honey. Lo repetía sin parar. Okay, I've been speaking in Spanish throughout the weekend. Spanglish most of the time, so please forgive me. I'm not apologizing, by the way, so this may happen.
So first things first, Jose, are you ready?
I'm ready, yes, please.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jose, Josie.
Yay.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Becky, for being here with us celebrating my birthday, which was last week. It was last week, but I've been celebrating like a lot, and
That's
so
why you got
this is.
sunglasses and hoodie up. Is that
I've
right?
got exactly because yes, I'm ready to talk about what we're going to be talking about today.
Well,
like
wait,
the
I have
talk.
to tell you a story
the
first.
talk. You're gonna tell us a story, okay? So I'm going to pay attention. So I'm gonna just make sure there's proper eye contact and everything. So here I
Let me
come.
tell you a story. Once upon a time, in the deep dark woods, the mouse went for a walk. In the deep dark woods. No, we're not going to tell a Gruffalo. That's how the Gruffalo starts. But we do have a legenda with us today. But let me tell you a story why this ties in today's topic. So my client just rang me. She's like, hey, Elliot, how are you? I miss you. I mean, she's not my client anymore. She was my client. And she's like, how are you? I'm going to come to Devon next year. I'm like, great. Let's get a day in the diary. She's like, let me tell you something. Okay. She's like, I've applied to 2 TEDx's, which is amazing, right? And I've got accepted to both. So one I'm doing in December, which is fantastic, and I'm excited about that. So can we get some time together so you and I can do some work on it? I'm like, yeah, cool. Don't worry about it. Sure, let's get half an hour. Send it to me. And then she goes, well, the other one I've applied for, is a bit more serious. I had to do a few auditions, and I just got an email that it's been confirmed that I've been selected. I'm like, oh, really? Which one is that? So she goes, oh, it's TEDx Sheffield. I'm like, oh, amazing. And they said, you know what? And they're going to assign me a curator. Guess who it is? Guess who it is, Jose?
I have no idea. Who can that person be? Hopefully a good curator.
It's you.
Who? Okay, so who is she or who is he?
Right. Well, she's a legenda. And for different reasons, I love her to bits. You better be nice to her. Her name's Sarah Flynn.
Okay.
Right? So I thought, oh my God, I don't think he knows yet. I'm going to tell this on the podcast recording. And this ties in perfectly to what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to talk about how to land a TEDx, how to deliver an empowering TEDx, and how to smash out the park when you have a TEDx. And we've got a legenda for that. We've got the one and only Becky for it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Becky.
Becky Walsh. Let's give it a round of applause, people.
Becky's like, oh, what did I let myself into? Why did I say yes to this? Hello, Becky.
Yeah, hi. How are you doing, guys?
Hi,
Good.
Becky.
Can I just ask you to speak up a little bit, please?
Yes, I can. I can talk much louder. I can do all of that voice projection, darling.
Yes, let's do it. So, Jose, first of all, how do you feel about that story?
Elliot, sometimes I like to say that you're full of it, but today you were full of surprises. So a lovely surprise. Thank you so much, buddy. It means the world how you introduced the program today with, another present. Elliot has given me many presents before my birthday, after my birthday. This is one of them. And I just checked my email, and yes, there is a Sarah that I'm going to be coaching. And forgive me if my voice goes today, because I didn't drink much, but I spoke a lot. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you guys. What a lovely story. What a small world. And I would also like to say this is very much connected. Great, because Becky helped me as well to prepare and suggest some changes to TEDx Sheffield, which they incorporated, and it is looking way more promising this year, guys. Let me tell you.
I was waiting for my invite to speak, Jose. That's the only reason I was your friend, but it never came, so I guess we're not friends.
Because I was waiting for it to get to the next level to bring a guy like you. There we go.
There we go. Becky Walsh, thank you for joining us today. You are a legend. We love you. Thank you for embracing us here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's deep dive into, look, everybody wants a TEDx, but first of all, tell us about yourself.
Thank you very much. I've been a teacher in personal development for over 20 years. I know it's impossible. I couldn't possibly be that old. But yeah, so I've been doing it for 20 years with one-to-one clients. And I wanted to be a TED speaker like anybody else. And when TEDx Bristol started, I was like, yeah, my opportunity. And I applied the first year and didn't get in. And then I was outraged because in the very first year, there were 3 women and the rest were all men. I was disgusted. And then it got taken over by another team, and I got involved with the team in terms of working on the curator side of it. So senior speaker curator for TEDx Bristol. But the other thing I do is over the years, I've realized how important humor is in personal development. So I've always added it in my one-to-one sessions. But now I do personal development training, but as a kind of like a stand-up show. So it kind of goes through a bit of a journey really between having deep conversation and then just laughing. And I think probably what happens is the personal development really happens in the conversation afterwards. So it's really set up for people that probably wouldn't want to go and sit with a therapist, wouldn't want to go and see a talk, but they would go and see a comedy show. They do want to go out and have a glass of wine and have a giggle. But it's not the sort of show that you would want to go and let go of your work blues. Is
it like Vagina Dialogue or Vagina Diary? What's it called?
Yeah, the Vagina Monologues.
Yeah, monologues.
It's a bit like that.
No, there is no discussion about my moo-moo.
No, I don't mean like about your moo-moo. I mean that kind of style. That's what I meant. No, I didn't mean literally.
A lot of audience interaction, which the vagina monologues doesn't have an awful lot of audience interaction.
Right.
Maybe afterwards, but not at the time. But no, none of that. So it's real audience interaction. The vagina monologues is kind of like that female kind of thing. This isn't female filmed. It's totally personal development. But yeah.
Amazing. And may I say that you look brilliant. You know, you just look, the word I'm looking for is glorious. You're just beaming it. You're just absolutely beaming it. It's so nice to see. So thank you for joining us again. I'll start off, and I know Jose's always got questions lined up, so he'll take the next question. But look, let's get down to nitty gritty. The question that everybody that kind of like, I want a TEDx. How do I get a TEDx? So let's start with, why does anybody want a TEDx or a TED? Why? What does it give anybody?
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 they want it because they want to be attached to the brand, because the brand is massive. They also see people like Brené Brown, you know, and people that you've never heard of, and then suddenly this TEDx comes out, and then it ends up usually on the TED mothership, and it can literally transform a person from being an unknown into being a huge success, you know, with book contracts, maybe even television shows. So, you know, where it used to be kind of like, what's your fast track? It was to get your face in front of Oprah. And TED, to me, has become the new Oprah. It's like, if you have been standing on that red circle in the stage, it's the same equivalent as the Oprah effect. For some, and not for everybody. But I think that that's what a lot of people are hoping for. And I think that as a TED creator, one of the things that you're always really cautious of are the people who are coming to sell something. So it might be that they've got a published book, or it might be that they're a coach, or it might be that they're really looking for the stage as a platform for them, their career. And they're not interested in a message. And maybe it is a message, but it's also a let's make lots of money message. But it isn't the idea. The idea worth sharing isn't their main goal. Their main goal is notoriety. So that's something as a creator you're looking for, not in a judgmental way, but you're looking at how credible is this? Like, what's this person's history? What's this person's life? Or have they just cobbled together something that they think would be really good that they can vaguely talk about, which is going to basically help their book sales?
Right. So you're saying, really, I mean, the essence of TEDx is an idea worth spreading, but that's not why people tend to want to do it. People tend to want to do it to be associated with a brand, to be, to land a new faceless type Oprah, which is the thing to be seen on, to be heard on, which can land book deals, film deals, modeling. I've got modeling deals from it. What can I tell you? I'm the face of many, brands. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
But that'd be nice to say.
Absolutely can be both. It really can be both. But you do notice when TEDx Bristol is the second largest TEDx in Europe. And so we're getting applications coming in from the States, from, all over the world. So you don't kind of go right the way across the world to be on a TED platform and pay for your flights and all the other stuff, because we don't pay the speakers. So you ain't doing it for the money. So, you are either doing it because you love TED conferences, you've watched them, you think that they're amazing, that you've got an idea worth sharing. But number one is you have something that you need to get out into the world because it's going to change the world. You want to use that platform because you know that you've created something that's going to change the lives of millions of people. If you want to get on a platform because you know that you have got an idea that is going to change the lives of millions of people, that could change something fundamental to the environment, something fundamental to technology, innovation, arts, you have that, you will go out with your elbows to get on that TEDx stage. And that's the voice that I'm looking for when I'm listening, is somebody who just goes, I have something absolutely to share. There may be no unique ideas, and sometimes we hear something for the first time that we've heard many times, but the person who says it to you says it in such a way that it lands when you may have heard it a million times before. So this doesn't mean that the ideas that are worth sharing have to be completely unique, but it's whether or not you can find someone who is the joiner of dots. Because as time moves forward, we create new pictures from the dots that went before us. So there's all of these dots, and then you can find that somebody else adds a couple of other pieces into the jigsaw puzzle. A whole new image of something that you thought you could see before, but a change of perception gives you a whole new picture. And so it's not about creating stuff that is completely unique and brand new, because that's difficult. But what are we learning in this moment in time based on the dots or the jigsaw pieces of our past that can create something right now for this moment in time that changes something in a societal, community, or personal way? That's launched, yeah.
Wow.
I'm Becky and I'm done speaking.
So is that the moment when you pass the mic to me to ask a question?
Yeah,
or
because I said I know you've got questions, but you've just
I was waiting
silently.
I was waiting for the cue. No, yes, I've got my question.
Okay.
I wrote
Jose,
it down
would you
and
like
everything.
to ask a question?
It's here. My lovely. Yeah, I got my sticky notes here. Becky, so yeah, changing the world and all of that. I would like to quickly highlight, people, when you're thinking about doing a TEDx, listen to what we're sharing here today. So I'm speaking to you listening or watching this episode today, because it's not about pitching your business. It's not about, selling your book. It's actually about adding a great deal of value and changing people's perspectives and sharing something that can transform people's lives. Okay. So bear that in mind when you think about your TEDx idea. And now, Becky, my question to you is, what's the difference that makes the difference in terms of a TED, let's just call it TED, going viral and one not going viral?
I think that's a really difficult thing. I think it's about how it relates on an emotional level. All the ones that I've seen that have gone viral, that have been a TEDx, that have ended on the TED mothership, that have really gone viral, have spoken in a way that just makes you go, oh, like something just opens. And the ones that I can really say that just spring to my mind, definitely Brené Brown, the vulnerability that she shared in that, and the fact that we all went, oh, that's why I'm like that. And that's a very personal thing when you can go the level of identity. And I would also say the same thing happened for me with Sir Ken Robinson, the late Sir Ken Robinson, when I saw his TEDx, when he was talking about, you know, the element and the brain that you take to school. That was another, oh, that's why I'm like that. Then there was a great talk about multi-potentialites, and the same thing happened. That's why I'm like that. And I think anything for me, and this might just be for me, that makes me feel like I understand myself so much better, or I feel less alone and I have that sense of connection from a TED talk. That relates, but it might be that you're very much into the environment, or you're very much into technology, and you see something that you learn from, and that becomes like that again has joined some dots together, maybe something that you're working on yourself, and it pulls things together. But it's a human element for me. It's the understanding of something. And I think, you know, I do a lot of training. So I especially do training for councils. And quite often I will go and flesh out my talks for councils by watching TEDx talks in similar things, because I absolutely know that I am going to get the leading edge science for my subject by making sure that I'm keeping up to date, not by plunging myself into books that are extremely time consuming to read, but by getting those absolute nuggets of information that are leading edge from TED Talks. So I think that that's why they go viral.
Can I ask one more question linked to that, Elliot? Would you allow me to, please? I would love to. Thank you so much. So, okay, and that is a great point, Becky. Now, my next question: does it make a difference if I've spoken at the TED stage, okay, in terms of the reach, or if I've spoken at TEDx Bristol or TEDx Sheffield?
Cool. So what happens? So say, for example, we had a number of TEDx Bristol talks, and what happens is you really want a TEDx conference to make a great video. Like the filming of that is so important, and we worked with a really great team of film people and editors. That's so important. You can mess up on the stage on the day, but how it's edited means it looks like you never did. So the film is really integral, and then that film goes onto YouTube, but it's also given, the organisers will give it to TED to have a look, and they will go, I mean, you can imagine how many they get, but they will go through and they'll pull out some of them, not all of them, and put them on TED. Now, this is all about volume of views. So people who have subscribed to your TEDx Bristol will not be the same level of numbers of people who've subscribed to TED Talks. So once you end up on a TED Talk, you have the film is then available for a hell of a lot more subscribers than it is on your particular TEDx. So that's why it's kind of important to make the grade to be able to do that. But then it's quite interesting. I've noticed that, you know, during the pandemic, when not so many TED Talks were coming out, TED Conference started putting up more talks on the TED platform from old conferences that they maybe went through and went, oh, actually, let's have another look at more content that we had before. And so they seem to be adding more talks, I think, from TEDx conferences than they did before the pandemic, which is good news if you're a TEDx speaker. Cool.
Okay. Fantastic. Elliot, over to you, and bless you, because I saw you sneezing. I couldn't hear you. So well done for muting your mic.
You know me, I'm a pro.
Thank you, Becky.
As you were speaking, I jumped on TED and like the 10 most popular TEDx talks, not TED Talks, TEDx Talk, right? It's interesting actually, because these are TEDx's, not TED, and we can talk about the difference in a minute. So interestingly, what the first top two that come up is Simon Sinek, but guess which one of Simon's? Do you know which one?
It has to be the one where the thing where he talks about Apple and he's got the flip chart behind him.
Yes. How great leaders inspire action. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you got the power of vulnerability. This is in no particular order, by the way. Then looks aren't everything. Believe me, I'm a model, and that's by Cameron Russell. Then you got Robert Waldinger. Is that right? What makes a good life, lessons from the longest study on happiness, the happy secret to a better work, that's Sean Archul, the orchestra in my mouth, Tom Thumb, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing everyone's names, by the way. Then you got Celeste Headley, 10 ways to have a better conversation. Then you got Mars Jabrani, a Saudi, an Indian, and an Iranian walk into a Qatari bar. Depression, the Secret We Share, and that's by Andrew Solomon. And then you got Thomas Schwarez, a 12-year-old app developer. So those are the top 10 according to TED. TEDx's, not TED's, because if it was TED's, then we'd have Sir Ken Robinson and other ones, Amy Cuddy and some of those. So really interesting. So when it comes down to a TEDx, or what is your criteria? Like, how do they get on your stage? Because I know you're strict. You got the second one, biggest one in Europe. What's the first? Just out of interest.
Oh, do you know? I actually don't know.
Oh, okay. So really, technically, you could say you're the biggest in the UK.
Oh yes, yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, we'll just claim that one. But there'll always be someone on your coattails. You know, that's
Right.
the thing. And
Sheffield.
You know, yeah.
The Sheffield game.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I pulled up a document. I'm going to read it to you.
Yes, go for it.
This is the document that we actually use, and we worked it down into different criteria because the thing as well that you really want is you want a level playing field. You want everybody to have the same opportunity as everybody else, but they need to fit into a particular criteria. So what we said was, why now? You know, so what is it about this idea that resonates in this current climate? So that's what I was saying about the joiner of dots. You know, why is this relevant in this particular moment in time? Is it credible? So is it well thought out as an idea? Is there good evidence and depth to it? That's important. Why them? Are they the best person to tell the story? And what are the qualifications or experiences that give them the credibility for the ownership of this particular topic? And then why TEDx Bristol? Now, this is very different across lots of different TEDx's because we wanted to champion our city. Now, it might be, you know, that someone's happy to have a TED speaker that's kind of like, you know, going up to Sheffield that lives in Bristol or, you know, but we wanted to showcase the people in our city. So it was, you know, what is it about this idea or this person that fits with us and not another TEDx event? So does this story or message resonate with our theme and our values as a town, as a city? And also we had particular themes. So the first TED I got involved with was called Dare to Disrupt, which I loved. Dare. And then the next one was Rethink, Reflect and Reboot. So we split it up across the days into those kind of three headings. And then the final one is, will it work? You know, can they talk? Are they inspiring? Will they excite the audience? And how much coaching do they need? And can we provide that? Because we did provide, like Elliot, like Jose is a coach. Both coaches, but yeah, you are both coaches. But you know, it was really important to be able to have coaches there because one of the things, and I remember this story in particular, but there was when we work with volunteers, so to create a level playing field, we have volunteers that come and watch the videos, look at the applications, and then rate them. And so each of those 5 criteria gets rated as 5, hell yes, and 1, yeah, not so much. And it's the ones that get quite like a high number that actually get to go through. But what we did with the volunteers is we looked at the ones with a high number, but then we asked the volunteers to show us 3 of the ones that they had discounted. And the reason for that is to make sure that quality and understanding of what we're looking for was really assured. So in one circumstance, a volunteer had said, no, not to this one. And when we asked why and we watched the video, she said, well, she can't talk very well. She doesn't use English particularly very well. And what she was referring to was that this woman was from a very working class background. So she's like, all right, like, what is it in it? Got it, you know. And so there was no, you know, I mean, it makes me think, yeah, but no, but, because it wasn't even there, but oh, no, it was very Bristolian, really hard to understand. Things that you sort of say, like, where would that be to, you know, that wouldn't normally come across. But her story was fantastic. The rest of that, in terms of how to present, how to stand, how to speak, how to not look at your feet, how to, you know, and how to articulate particular words and how to sentence and how to create sentence structure, we can teach that. We can teach that. And we don't want to lose the Bristolian. That's Bristol. You know, and we don't want to end up with it being kind of like a TEDx platform for the middle class educated people who can talk. You know, we wanted to have a full spectrum. So that was something really important that we had to get across to our volunteers is don't make it intelligent middle class. That means that people who are from all sorts of backgrounds, or maybe doesn't have English as being their first language, is going to be excluded. So I think that that was an important way of being able to vet it all out.
Oh, that's really interesting. Jose.
Becky, you got me thinking as I was listening to you. My mind just went to so many different places, especially, since you touched on the accent element.
I knew this would get you sparked up. I had a feeling.
Yeah, well, but I'm not gonna dive deeper into it today. This is a conversation to have with you, Elliot, and Becky, and many other people that I'm hoping will support me on this, because this has become a big problem for people with accents, not just as a non-native speaker, but for native speakers, just like you explained.
Yeah.
So basically,
accent. There's a range. There's non-English accents, and there's accents within England or within the UK, right? And it's if we're going to talk inclusion, we need to talk inclusion across the board, right? And I think that's what you're alluding to, right, Jose?
well, I mean, there's even a topic nowadays that there is a bit of a racism behind the different accents and depending on where you're from and everything else. So the Italians and the Spanish, they sound really nice, and they are unconsciously, people rate us as kind of sexy, interesting. But then if it's a person from another country, there's a red alert that goes, in the background and things like this. So there will be a talk around these people coming soon.
I think you're right. I think it's highly important, and it's something, especially because of Bristol with our Colston history and all the rest of it. It was absolutely something that we felt was really important for to raise up voices that perhaps don't normally get heard. And I think that I think that is the responsibility of TED conferences, to actually be able to make sure that you're checking in on any level of unconscious bias. And it's also why we wanted to have a range of volunteers as curators, because we wanted curators from a series of backgrounds, so you just didn't have one person kind of like looking at the criteria. And it is hugely important. I mean, we're not that far away from stations like the BBC. Hello and welcome to the World Service. Everything was done because there was this intelligence that came from an actual education of being able to speak, elocution lessons. So people who'd had elocution lessons, you got elocution lessons if you were privately educated. So it just made it completely available for people who had, sorry, the dog's barking now.
In what accent does the dog bark?
Yeah, he's actually got a Romanian accent, if you listen really carefully.
Oh, yeah. I thought I detected a bit of Romanian.
Yeah, you could detect that. But it's but these things are hugely relevant and important, because it's not just, it's classism at the same time as well. So it's a whole range of stuff that is excluding people who have interesting things to say. So yeah, it's the world that we live in, but hopefully it's starting to transform.
Okay, so what would you say, Becky, to them people that want to do, their own, they want to do a TED, or let's just talk about TEDx to start with. They want to do a TEDx and they have a strong accent. What would you recommend to these people?
Yeah, I would say just do it. Absolutely go for it and do it, because it's wrong that a TED will judge you on your accent, and I would imagine that if they're worth their salt, they're not going to. They shouldn't. But it's wrong, but that tends to be the way that the world is. And I would just say, keep going until you come across a TEDx that's not run by idiots.
Well, there we go. So carry on applying, until actually, people that appreciate you, and okay, cool.
Absolutely.
They'll give you the opportunity.
I mean, I don't know how hard that is. I mean, clearly, look at me. But I will tell you that I came from the north of England, and I used to have a very strong Darlingtonian accent, and I deliberately lost it. And I deliberately give middle-class perception because I wanted to work for the BBC. So I am from a very distinct working class, and I have literally changed everything about me so that I have more opportunities by coming across middle class.
It's interesting because my dad
I wouldn't give that as a suggestion to anybody, but that is what I did. That's because I knew that if I wanted to work in theatre, that there wasn't the same level of opportunities if I'd have come in as who I was.
Yeah, my dad did that. You wouldn't know that, but he's from East London. And then when he was like, hello, I'm Daddy. I mean, it's father. It's like, actually, I made him even posher, but he sounds like that. And because he made a decision like you, he knew that the opportunities would be less. And, you know, if he had like an East End accent, you know, he'd immediately be typecast or put. He ended up in sales anyway, so I don't know why he bothered. But, you know, in that respect. But, you know, I completely get it. My dad did that. For that reason, and many, in fact, one of my clients, she told me, so she specializes in, she's big on identity, and obviously she's herself black and not UK black. What is it? I can't remember exactly. And so she does a lot of work on the identity side of things, and she goes into corporates. And what they actually did is they created this forum where people can express themselves anonymously, and they had to openly share what they've done to decrease their, how can I phrase this, their ethnic presence. And so many of them say that they put their hair in a certain way, that they went to elocution lessons, that they changed their name, because this was completely anonymous, not pretending, like action. And she was just blown away. They changed the way they speak, they changed their accent, they got elocution, just so they wouldn't, on paper or even over the phone, be heard of their ethnic background. And I think that's quite a worrying sign of the where we are even today. But today's not about that. But I think as we went there, we might as well discuss it as well. So it's nice to know that TEDx Bristol is looking to eliminate unconscious bias and is looking to welcome everybody and all. So that's fantastic. And may many other TEDx's follow suit, and TEDs across the world.
And just to in on that, our director has just got a job for Channel 4 as the community and diversion person for Channel 4. So we obviously knew what we were doing because she, you know, to the point where she got picked up for that. I think is just brilliant. Yeah. Really
yeah,
brilliant.
No, that is fantastic. By the way, I just tweaked that Bristol is down the road from me, so we should seriously do lunch, Becky, because you know we are very close to each other. Let's do it. So very quickly, because we've got about 10 or so minutes. So what are the big mistakes people make? I mean, because, you know, I know, for example, myself, because I put on events and I obviously work with speakers, I get the whole, I've just written a book, you should put me on stage. I'm like, no, that just doesn't work. Or I get someone's PA contact me, you know what? Jose is willing to speak for you and he's willing to waive his fee. I'm just using Jose as an example, by the way. Would you like me to set up a call with him? I'm like, no. So what are some of those you've had, Becky, when it comes down to TEDx's?
Just cut and paste. Cut and paste. You've sent the same thing out to every single TEDx. You haven't looked at what the theme is, and you're making it sound like we should be eternally grateful for the fact that you've even written to us. But it's the cut and paste. It's that you know when something's been cut and paste, and literally all you've done is you've gone through every single TED thing. You don't even know when the date of ours is. You've just cut and pasted your talk. You haven't personalised it. You haven't looked at the theme, and you're just spamming, and it just is so disheartening when you get that. You just think, oh God, no. So that's really hard. And also you do get the I'm an author of blah 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 blah. Okay, great, but does your book fit into the theme? No, it doesn't. So why are you even applying to us? So there's the time wasting element. There's a book called No, I Won't Read Your Effing Script, and it's a little bit like that. It's kind of, no, I won't, you know, or they'll kind of go, oh, you've got to read my talk, you'll find it so interesting. No, I won't. Do the application. That's what I find really interesting. So that sounds really harsh, but I think sometimes people just really let themselves down by that, and it happens in all. I mean, I remember getting sorry, I'm going to let the dog out.
It's okay, even the dog gets upset by that, and we understand. Even the dog doesn't want to read the application.
When I'm upset, but you know, it's I was we did a call for radio presenters, and a similar thing happened. You know, we're really clear. We want 3 minutes on an MP3, this format, you know, and people were sending me cassette tapes. I mean, this is going like a long time ago, but you're kind of like going, oh, come on, you know. So, so you know, things like that. But I think that is about, I think it's actually about self-esteem, because although you might think it's about someone thinking that they're hugely important, I do think that sometimes people kind of have a go with the intention of failing. So they don't put in the work, they don't put in the effort, so they can say, well, I tried, but it didn't work, because they're actually secretly terrified. And I think we all have internal saboteurs that stop us doing what we know we need to do, because if you really wanted to do it, you would be absolutely 100% on it, but you're falling short of it, so you can say you tried but failed and it's not your fault. So I don't feel too harshly against people who are chronically wasting my time, clearly. But I do think that that's your saboteur doing that. I unless you really are narcissistic and you think that I should just spot talent, because that's something that happens, is people sort of think that you just spot talent, and people have a secret desire to want to be chosen, to want to be, and I had this too when I used to go. I remember going to see a Prince concert. I wanted to be the girl that would be pulled up on stage by Prince to sing with Prince, even though I can't sing. And but just pull me on stage, Prince. See
just
me
pull
in
me.
the crowd.
Full stop.
So we want to be special, and we want to have someone go, oh, I see something incredible about you. and we all want that. So we kind of half-heartedly give them some stuff so that we can be spotted as an incredible talent. The problem is you have to be an incredible talent to be spotted. And so you actually have to put some work into being an incredible talent. And so put in an incredibly talented proposal, please, God, make my life easier. So yes, sorry.
I think you just nailed where I've gone wrong most of my life. That whole being talented part.
Stop me.
Damn,
Love
I think,
me.
yeah, I almost gave you a boo there, but that's reserved for Jose.
You always gave yourself a boo. You could. You never gave yourself a boo.
You need talent to be spotted. Oh my God, I thought it would be my good looks. This is a depressing moment in my life.
Yeah.
Jose, I think I need you to take over. I'm just gonna mourn for a little bit.
Well, take your few seconds. 1, 2, 3. Back.
Okay, I'm over it now. I'm over it.
That's it. That's all it takes, people. That's all it takes.
Did it work, Becky? Did it work?
Yeah, I can see you. I spot you. You're incredible. My God, we must put you on the stage.
Yes! Yes! Did it work? Right, one last question, because we need to start wrapping up soon. Jose, I know you've got a final question.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope I do have a final question. Well, this one is going to go around tips. So mistakes people are making. You kind of given away some tips throughout this session, Becky. Thank you so much. But what would you say are your top 3 people? You want to be spotted. You want to, you have a dream. You want to be on a TEDx stage. 3 things you definitely need to do, no matter what. Becky's 3.
Firstly, I think it's about your whole life. Is what happened to you in your whole life that brought you up to this moment? Not your whole life story. We haven't got time. We've got 15 minutes. But what have you done? Like, what makes you the expert for this? So that you're not just kind of like looking at retelling a story like a journalist. That you are telling the story you lived, telling the story that you've studied, telling the story that you've worked at. So that if that's you in the lab coat, whatever that is, like that, really work on that and let that be everything that you do. Don't be a speaker to be a speaker. Be a speaker about the thing that you love. So that's really important. Perseverance. Just keep going at it, and just, you can't really ask for feedback. We don't always have time to give it, but just keep going and go and watch these conferences. Be in the audience. Make notes about what really works, because lots of people want to be a TED speaker, but have they actually gone and watched a TED conference? In live, have they seen a live TED conference? Lots of them haven't. So why would you push to do something that you actually haven't experienced yourself, like being an actor who'd never sat in an auditorium? So that's important as well. And support, volunteer, get involved. Don't just think about the stage, but go and be part of the TEDx team, because by doing that, you learn so much, and you also get on people's radars. It's not the same as like extras never make actors. It's not the same as a volunteer won't end up on the stage. You never know, and you never know, especially in these times when anyone can fall over with a cough. You never know that it might suddenly go, actually, something's happened. We've got a spot. You've been talking to our coaches. You've been talking to our get up on stage and cover the next 15 minutes. You never know what's going to happen. So what I would say is, perseverance, but think outside the box of the linear snobbishness of I only want to be a speaker and I don't want to get involved in any other way. Get involved in every way that you possibly can, especially if you've got one local to you.
are you blowing kisses? You're not the one that gave the tips, Jose. Why
Well,
are you
that's
blowing?
why
For those of you listening
blowing
to this, he's
kisses.
blowing kisses.
I'm blowing kisses, and the thing is, Elliot is complaining because those kisses are not for him. The kisses are for Becky for an
okay.
excellent contribution. But there you go, Elliot. You want some kisses? I'm blowing kisses to Elliot as well. There you go. Besito.
No,
Mwah.
I don't want those kisses because they were.
Come on, get some of these kisses. This is what you said. I remember when we met. Finally, I'm going to get a kiss from you, and I kissed you. That's okay.
When did you?
That's
kiss
okay.
Me? You didn't kiss me.
I did kiss you on each cheek.
When?
I just went mwah mwah.
No. I'm not accepting that, I'm afraid. Anyway, we can carry on about the kissing. But in the meantime, Becky, how do people reach out to you? Here, where can they follow you? Where can they watch you? Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So the easiest thing is beckywalsh.com. I've also got a YouTube channel, Becky Walsh Intuitive, or Stand Up Intuitive, I think it is. Can't even remember. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I cannot be bothered. But I'm on pretty much everything else, really. The size of an ice cube bottle, whatever. It's
ice cube bottle.
Well, I meant like an
ice cube
bottle.
Okay.
Up being something else, but I make up words. It's fine. But you can reach out to me, and if you want to know about what's going on, I'm not working on a TEDx Bristol at the moment. I've actually got a TED Talk coming up, hopefully in March, my own.
Ooh.
So we shall see about that. So that's going to be good. We're just in the process of that. The date changed. And so hopefully it's going to be in March.
Amazing. Thank you again for coming on the show and for sharing such wisdom, knowledge, insights, tips, and advice. It's been an absolute pleasure. So listen, before I hand it over to Jose to wrap up the show, make sure that if you do want to land at TEDx, know the theme, do your research, do your homework, base it on your